Hi everyone, I'm getting a lot of queries through at the moment about barking, so I thought I'd make a real quick video about barking in dogs. I ought to preface it by saying I'm not a behaviourist, but I've obviously worked with dogs now for 20 years, and so I think I've picked up a bit along the way. And these are my own particular feelings, but I would really urge you that if you're having problems, speak to a good behaviourist. They'll be able to help you out an awful lot more than just through this video. It's really important, and I'll come on to this, that with barking in dogs, that we identify the root cause, because there are a number of root causes. So I generally split it down into two main categories, distressed barking and non-distressed barking. So by non-distressed barking, I mean things like excitement, play instigation, where they play bow and they yip and they bark at you, watchdog barking, so by which means I mean if somebody's walking past the window and the dog leaps up at the window and starts barking, they're protecting the pack. Boredom, they've got nothing to do and it's just that aimless bark, 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 bark. Demand barking would be the final one that I recognise in this category of non-distressed barking. So demand barking is, say you've got some food and they sit there and they yap at you. So non-distressed barking is one side, so excitement, watchdog, boredom and demand barking. And then you've got distressed barking. And by distressed barking, I mean things like spooky barking. So if they've been really frightened and they turn around quickly and yap and bark and, it's a shout, get away from me. That would be the first class. And then separation anxiety. So barking because they're distressed because they've been left alone and they think their pack leader has left them. Of course, we do have different breeds who vocalise in different ways. So you've got this, the baying of hounds, and then terriers like Jack Russells tend to yap. They can be pretty vocal. So it depends on the breed very much as well. I know we used to have a little terrier who was terrible for barking, but then we had a lurcher, which, are not known for barking, who used to get so excited he used to be barking. So it's really key that you or somebody identifies the exact reason why they're barking. Split it down into distressed versus non-distressed, and then one of the categories. So if they're distressed, is it separation anxiety? Is it spooky barking? If it's non-distressed, is it because they're bored? Is it because they want something? Is it because they're excited or they want to play? Or is it because there's something going on outside that they're worried about and they're alerting the pack members to it? It's very much the pitch of the bark, the tone of the bark, the repetition of the bark, but also body language as well. So a dog that's scared or distressed, fold its ears back, get down low, curl away, might even show signs of aggression as well. Dogs which are excited will obviously be running around in circles, jumping up and down, paddling their paws on the ground like so. Watchdog barking, they will be very fixated on the source of the sound. So it's really important that you read your dog's body language alongside the type of barking that they're showing, and really trying to identify the type of barking that they're showing. The general training tips are threefold. The first one, don't yell at them. If you yell at them, it just sounds to them like you're barking along with them, and it just reinforces the whole situation. And if it's a stressful situation, it's just going to make things worse. Keep the training sessions really positive and upbeat. So try not to punish them at all during the training sessions, and be really consistent so you don't confuse them. So what are the sort of things that we can do to help them out with barking? Very much depends on the type of barking again. So for instance, with watchdog barking, you might want to try and remove the motivation. So essentially, if they are barking at windows as passerbys are coming by or the postman's coming in, then you might want to try and find somewhere else for the dog to sit, maybe at the back of the house, in another room, somewhere where they're not going to get that stimulation to bark. Second way of training them is ignore the barking. Now, this works if it's a demand type bark. So essentially what you're doing is when they're barking, you're just ignoring them completely. You're not entering into any kind of eye contact or communication with them at all. The idea being then that they aren't getting any reward from the barking. And then as soon as they're quiet, that's when you reward them. Of course, that's not going to work with separation anxiety. You know, ignoring a dog which is distressed because it's ignored isn't going to work. You can teach them a quiet command, and actually, funnily enough, what you need to do first is teach them the speak command. So basically what you do is you find something that stimulates a bark, give them the command speak, get them barking. Once they've barked a couple of times, and stick a tasty treat there in front of their nose, let them have it, so when they go quiet. And essentially that treat only happens when they've stopped and they've sniffed the treat, then they can have it, you praise them. The second part of that then is once you've got them to speak on command, is when they go quiet, you give them the quiet command. So in a quiet, calm environment, no distractions, tell them to speak. When they start barking, say quiet, and as soon as they go quiet, put a treat in front of their nose. Another way of training them is to ask for an incompatible behaviour, a behaviour that's not compatible with barking. So an excited dog who's absolutely full of adrenaline and running around and barking, try and bring them to a calm space. So bring them in, get them to lie down, be quiet, treat. When they're reliably going down, and you're giving them a treat, you might want to up the ante a little bit. So essentially they come down, they lie down, and you throw a ball at that point, but they're really fixated on you. And when they're quiet and still, they get the treat. And that's what that would be a good mechanism of working with any dog that's still thinking, not so stressed that it can't think properly. You might want to give them a toy to play with. That's something else, because if they're barking, they're excited and they've got a toy in their mouth, they physically can't bark. So you're breaking that excitement and bark cycle. And finally, it's really important that dogs are given plenty of physical and mental exercise. They do require stimulation, and a lot of bored dogs, their barking will stop as soon as you get that physical and mental stimulation. Separation anxiety often comes from deep anxieties. Maybe they're rehomed dogs who were never really looked after as puppies or abused. They can be much more difficult to stop barking, because what you need to do is, it's not the barking you need to fix, you need to address the underlying anxieties. And all of these things, you know, a dog behaviourist, a properly qualified dog behaviourist should be able to help you with. You know, don't suffer in silence. You know, try the things that we're doing, but that I recommend, but if it's not working, really honestly think about behaviourists. I mean, they have changed dogs' lives, and because then the stress is out of the situation, it's made people's lives better. Take the time it takes, so it takes less time. That's all.